Underneath this cover is a brand new hardcore version of Rimac electric hypercar. Let's have a look at it. I love unveiling cars. Woo! Now, it's called the Nevera R, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it in this video. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow. It has a big wing. I'm here with Frank Heil. So you are the chief designer for Bugatti Rimac, so you work on Bugatti products and Rimac products.
Yes.
I'm saying it kind of half correctly. It's Rimac, isn't it?
Rimac, yeah. It's a Croatian way of pronouncing Rimac.
Okay, so tell me about this car, because I look at it and I know it's a Nevera, but it does look quite different. What's the idea behind this?
Well, the R stands for radical, rebellious, relentless, and that's really the values that we've given this car. The concept is relatively straightforward. Upgrade the power, down the weight, bit more aero, bit more mechanical grip. And that's also what the visual form language of the car is supposed to speak. So it's staring at you quite aggressively, right? We got that one line side to side, shark nose really low down to get the laminar airflow attached to the front. And we've got that really aggressive splitter. We force more air through the radiator to counterbalance the downforce from that big wing, as you saw.
So basically then, R, you say radical. I thought it would mean race. Why isn't it race? So
usually it's race if you see an R car, no? But in our case, R came from the Rimac, but or in our case, it's radical, rebellious, relentless. Those are our values. If we say radical, of course, with that kind of horsepower and the drift mode and the full digital torque vectoring, it is quite a radical machine, actually.
But the things that you do lend itself to a bit more racy, doesn't it? So you're talking about aero, downforce, you're talking about more power, less weight, improved handling, and we'll get onto the engineering side of things in a bit. So here at the front, how different is it than the standard car? 'Cause it looks like this is all new.
From the A-pillar up is all one piece now.
Yeah.
It used to be that we have a fender and a bonnet, so now we have one front clam, which also enables us to have no split lines on it, which makes it really cleanly looking, and the carbon bits kind of kick out, give it that stance, that grunt from front view.
So how do you open the bonnet to look at the engine?
There's no engine in the front.
Sorry, I'm just being stupid.
There's two electric motors though in the front.
Is it one for each wheel, or is it two driving a single axle?
No, it's one motor per wheel. So you have full control over each revolution of each wheel. That's what's making this so exciting to drive.
And that's why you can do the crazy kind of like backwards drifting.
Cornering
stuff
as well. You could have the outside wheels actually spin faster and the inside wheels recuperating at the same time.
Madness.
So that's crazy.
This front splitter is new, isn't it?
Right, so the concept is more downforce to begin with. So how do we achieve more downforce? On the back it's easy, we put a wing. On the front, we are working with the actual throughput through the radiator and exiting air out of here. So this is a movable flap in higher downforce configuration. It'll open and we'll force air in there through the radiator and out of the bonnet. Plus we've increased the size of the splitter to create the front end downforce.
Have you done something to the light? These lights, this has been redesigned as well,
we've extended, let's say, the eyebrow to give it that look, that stare at you.
So you've done this on the R version, so the normal Nevera still looks the same as it did. It's just the R version that has this new front end. Is that
does.
correct?
It's complementary to the Nevera. We now have the Nevera R. They're both being built.
This one does look better though, doesn't it? So aren't people just going to buy this one?
Well, we see, no?
Right. I'm guessing it's more expensive, and we'll come to that in a moment. So let's have a look down the side of the car then. Have we got increased air vents here? Obviously all the air vents are real.
We've redesigned the air curtain. Greater air mass flow. We're feeding air from a high pressure zone into a low pressure zone. We're also having a bigger cutout on these side blades now to extract more air from the wheel wells to kind of push the car down. Otherwise, if we didn't do that, the air would collect in the front wheel wells and push the car up. We didn't want that, so created more downforce by opening the sides as well. Also, we've changed the DLO, so the daylight opening, the graphic around the side window. You can see now it's more elongated. There's a new Nevera R badge on the charging lid, actually.
Is this what you mean? It extends out into here?
Yes, so we're always talking, before we talk about any color or theme, we talk about proportions. So we got to get the proportions just right. So we divided up horizontally the car to make it seem longer and seem lower, even though it's the same width. So that's how it's getting that more aggressive look. Plus, we added a 21-inch on the rear. The 21-inch used to be a 20-inch wheel, so one size larger now, gives it that forward momentum.
So it's a bit like that,
forward. Yeah, it adds up to the graphic, the bigger wing on the rear, the bigger wheel, the lower nose, it gives it that forward raked momentum.
So this actual glass area is the same, you just make it look longer by adding this bit here.
Different graphics.
So essentially what it is, it's just kind of like design, smoke and mirrors this is, isn't it? That's what it is.
You're going to hell.
That's the first time anyone that I've interviewed has called me a But it's a good call. I think you're quite accurate there. This part, is this new as well? Because the shape's what I recognise from the normal Nevera, but are these bits new, this air intake, or not?
What's new is the principle. So now we have a duct that connects the intake to the exit in an under pressure, low pressure area.
So the air comes out of here?
The air comes out of here, and underneath the wing, that's what we create the downforce with the underside of the wing. It's a low pressure. So it's like a chimney. We're connecting a regular ambient pressure to a low pressure. It draws like a chimney.
And that gives more downforce, because a lot of people think, see, I thought this, right, because I'm a bit thick, that wings, basically, you've got air hitting and it pushes it down, but it's not. That actually works like an airplane's wing, but upside down, doesn't it?
That's it, you got it. That's also why we have a biplane wing. As you see, there's a second wing underneath. Also, this is completely detached off the main volume. And we're using this wing to attach air to the underside of the first wing.
So, you know, when you got into like design, did it all start off with, I mean, this is all about aerodynamics, right? So you got like an aero concept that you're trying to achieve with the car. Because a lot of people, they'll fit a wing to their car to go, oh, it's going to make it faster or handle better. And they forget about like evening out they need to put downforce at the front, otherwise you've got downforce at the back and it's all wrong. Or actually, mainly, you've got drag, haven't you? Because you don't actually know how to design a wing. So this, when you got into like designing the car, did you start off with an aero package before you like sketched it out?
Well, it's got to all come together into one car. No, we're not making one car for aero, one car for design, and one car for engineering.
Okay.
The art of all of this is to get all of this together and function in one piece that looks adorable and makes your heart tell your mind to spend a couple of million on this.
So Frank, like your first car that you worked on, it was at Bugatti. So he's been at
That's
Bugatti
true.
for 16 years, and it was the Super Sport.
That's true.
Obviously, your team designed the Tourbillon, the most recent Bugatti.
Had a lot of fun with that.
So even with that, you're thinking along the lines of, we need to design it to look good, that people want to buy it, but we also need to make it functional at the same time. And
it's telling a story as well, no? Like, what would we design if there wasn't the Aero story to it?
Would you still have the wings?
It would have less spice. No, it wouldn't make sense. So the beauty is to tie sense into an aesthetic thing, no? That's how it is.
Okay, but what leads it, the design or the Aero, what leads it in your mind? Something leads it, something always leads. Like in a relationship, there's always someone that leads that relationship.
Well, there's styling and then there's design. Styling is if you have a package that somehow was already there, you put a nice candy wrapper around it, and then it somehow turns out to be what it is. It's not as good as it could be if you make these things totally in symbiosis. No? So design, aesthetics, function, all these things work together.
He's not going to answer, is he? He's not. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it hanging. He's thinking design leads it, but there we go. We've got a biplane effect here. You've got 3 fixtures to the bodywork, because that's quite unusual. You don't normally have the wing attached there, do you?
Rimac is about the number 3.
Yeah.
So 3 phases on the electric motors.
Okay.
There's 3 indicator on the state of charge. There's 3 spokes onto the wheel. There's 3 pillars. It's always the number 3 is repeating.
Why?
throughout the car.
Why though? Why is
because
that?
3-phase electric motor. There's the analogy to the electric.
Right. Okay.
And so yes, this has a central beam, and it also has the structural load is going through the end plate.
Okay. So is that design or styling then? Because you're getting the theme and you're making
It's both.
Okay.
You can't subtract one
Do
from
you know
the
what?
other.
I'm just going to shut up about this and move around this side to look at the car. The rear end looks noticeably different than the standard Nevera.
does,
Like seriously.
New form language.
I've got to say, right, when I first saw the Nevera, I liked the design. It wasn't over the top, it looked sporty, it looked desirable, but this looks more desirable for sure. Just the shape of it, it's just more aggressive.
So does it speak to your heart, to tell your mind to buy this
like
car?
if I'm lucky enough to be in the market for something like this, I'm having this one for sure.
Then job done for us.
Sorry to anyone who's bought a Nevera, but you're going to have to buy this one now too.
Well, so the rear end is a complete departure as we have these flowing lines.
Yeah.
You see they are kind of going into the middle, and then finally the diffuser bits as well. So we have 3 diffusers. The central part is painted in body color, and then the 2 exposed carbon pieces.
This bit sort of reminds me of like what Ferrari do at the tail ends a little bit, you know, where you have like the diffuser bit there and then the I don't know what you call that, the undiffuser bit. But it never looks quite right, doesn't look quite finished for me on Ferraris. I like this though. I'm just going to have a look at the diffuser, how far it runs underneath. Isn't there something, this was on the Tourbillon, the diffuser goes so far underneath the car,
on the
doesn't it?
Tourbillon really it's the longest diffuser, It's a 2-meter long diffuser. We tore right into the architecture of the car.
So what is it on this?
This is based on Nevera, so the diffuser is the length that it can be with that battery pack in the middle. It's a 21 module battery pack, so it's quite a substantial battery. And we can draw the diffuser up to the edge of the battery. So, but it's enough with that wing, and together they create the downforce that we need for the R, right?
So obviously we talked about the exterior design of the R, and it definitely stands out. But you want the interior, you know, as the driver, that's where you are. That's where you spend most of your time. You want that to mimic the exterior. So shall we go check it out inside? Okay, Frank. So I'm sat inside the Nevera R. What is different over the standard Nevera?
So we now bring the exterior color to the interior. You now have the option of not speccing this in exposed carbon, but in the actual exterior color. This happens to be nebula green. You know how Nevera is a thunderstorm, and so the theme of thunder and nature and the elements fit, and so we called it nebula green.
Okay, so what are the changes are there? So we've got this that is in the body color. There's lots of Alcantara going on.
Lots of Alcantara. We do this for weight saving. It's 2.5 kilograms lighter than the leather interior.
Every little bit counts, doesn't it? But still, you know, you've got a big battery in this car. It's still going to be a heavy car, and we'll come on to the weight in a bit. Also, let's be honest, Alcantara, just like on the steering wheel especially, just feels
you
nice.
get that
Yeah, you do. You can make your car feel faster immediately by just trimming the steering wheel in Alcantara. Anything else different here on the inside? Any different modes?
Well, you have your drift modes, no? So it changes the atmosphere of the car. If you go to drift, for example, then the whole thing changes to yellow. Also, the outside charging indicator lights turn to yellow. The battery will start conditioning up.
But didn't you had drift mode on the standard Nevera?
We had drift mode on the standard, but that's the lunacy of this electric car. We like to say it's the only electric car that was made by petrol heads. For petrol heads.
But so you had drift mode, but was the colours different or something on the original Nevera, or is that still the same?
We did stay to the colours.
Okay,
yeah.
right, you can hear the battery now, it's preconditioning.
You hear the fans, yeah, so it's preconditioning the battery for you to launch it off the line. But so please not in here.
Okay, no, straight to the wall. So we're actually in Rimac's new campus in Croatia near Zagreb, and it's like this amazing building. I actually feel like I'm on the set of a James Bond movie, and this is like where you launch the rockets from.
The size of this building is comparable to the size of the center of Dubrovnik. You know, the coastal town in southern Croatia. It's the same size. The architecture of these buildings actually are from Dubrovnik, so they have a certain.
It looks very different than Dubrovnik.
It looks very different, but the footprint is the same as the whole inner city of Dubrovnik.
Wow. Anyway, back to the car. So, other changes here on the inside.
Well, we love the seats. The seats are really comfy. We love them.
But these are as in the Nevera, right?
They are as in Nevera,
the
yeah.
shape
And they're
of
trimmed
them.
in Alcantara now. We now have the new graphic on them as well. It's got the racy touches to it. Yeah, we didn't reinvent the wheel on the interior.
Okay.
Let's say we put our coins on the exterior.
But yeah, I think it works though with the colour coding going from the
Colour's
outside.
nice, yeah.
When you see it on the front wing and then you see it here on the dashboard.
I like how it connects the exterior to the interior.
Well, it's really interesting to like talk about the design, the exterior and the interior. Obviously more things going on the exterior, but we spoke a little bit about using Alcantara to reduce the weight, which is, it's kind of a drop in the ocean. But this car has less weight, more power, and lots of changes underneath the skin to make it more radical, right?
On a car like this scale, we've already thrown all the technology at it to make it as lightweight as possible. To save another 35 kilograms is actually quite difficult. You won't find that one bit that you save 35 kilograms on. It's everywhere. It's the sum of all parts that we get those savings in weight from.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. Let's find out now about some of the engineering upgrades on this Nevera R. This is Matija Renic. So you are the chief engineer for the Nevera and Nevera R. Obviously you've made some upgrades to it, and the main one is the battery, isn't it?
Yes, so we have a new cell, inside more or less the same battery package. So now we are going from 120 kilowatt hours to 108 kilowatt hours.
So that's less.
It's less, but we get more power. It's a different type of cell.
And more range as well.
Range is probably going to be very similar. We still didn't do the full testing for range, but you know, you get some things with aerodynamics, you lose some things with battery pack, but again, battery is also more efficient, so everything levels up and we're expecting very similar range to Nevera.
Because one thing about Rimac is that you are experts in battery technology. Other manufacturers use your battery tech. Okay, so it's got smaller, but it's more powerful. So let's talk about the power. This is why I'm here, Matija. Okay. Tell me about the power. So the normal Nevera has 1,914 horsepower, which is, why that number? It's 1.4 megawatts, isn't it? So what has this one got?
This one got 2,107 horsepower.
Which is 1.5 megawatts?
1.55.
1.5. So it's quite an uptick in power from your slightly smaller battery. So what does that mean in terms of 0 to 100 kilometers an hour?
So I can explain why is this the case, why we can extract more power. It's actually because...
No, I want the number.
You want the number?
We'll find out why in a moment.
So my favorite number is 0 to 300. So car can do 0 to 300 in 8.66 seconds.
What's that in miles an hour? Bear with me a second. Almost 190 miles an hour in
8.66 seconds.
So less than 9 seconds.
It's half a second faster than Nevera.
Okay, right. Let's bring it down to speeds that people can actually understand. 0 to 100 kilometers, what's that?
It's going to be very similar as Nevera because you cannot actually extract more power on speeds below 100 kph.
Right, so what are we talking?
It's 181 seconds.
So for that initial launch, it's not going to feel much quicker than a Nevera, but it's that when you keep on pulling,
After 100 kph,
this one's just going like
it will
that.
go crazy, yeah.
Wow. And that was one thing for me with the Nevera. Compared to other electric cars, when they tail off, that never tailed off.
Yes.
So this is going to be
It's
even
going to be even more
scarier.
More scary.
Is this car any lighter than the standard Nevera?
Yes, it's 35 kilos lighter.
Okay, but that's not much really, is it? Because how heavy is the car overall?
Car is 2,265 kilos.
So still pretty heavy then.
Yes, but you have to drive the car and you'll experience that it's like no other car.
In terms of the layout of the battery pack, it's the same as before. So
Yes.
where you don't have a skateboard design, because one of the things I don't like about skateboard designs, it means that all cars feel sort of the same in terms of their balance, but you distribute the battery pack in a way to make the car a bit more agile, right?
First of all, if the battery pack is like skateboard design, we would have very high car. It wouldn't look like hypercar anymore.
Right.
So we made this decision very early on to have age-shaped battery pack. So you have battery pack underneath your feet, then in the tunnel and behind the rear firewall.
And that allows you to sit lower, but do you find as well that it helps the dynamics, that layout?
Oh yes, it helps the weight distribution, of course with other stuff and the architecture of the car, but this is really good setup and we were really happy with it.
No, I'm conscious that I diverted you. You wanted to talk about the battery management, how you achieve the added power. And
So the difference in battery cell is actually coming, the difference is coming from the internal resistance. So with this new cell, we are going with internal resistance from 22 milliohms to 15 milliohms. So what that means, when you're extracting power from the battery pack, you have less heat up inside the battery pack. So it allows you to get more power out of it without, consequence.
Okay, so it's a bit like an internal combustion engine that if they run too hot, don't deliver so much
course.
performance.
Yes.
Same with this, it allows you to get the electrons out quicker without it overheating, so you don't have to have the fans on so much, and it operating more efficiently than when it's getting hot. Okay.
And you can have basically full power on this car up until 60% state of charge. Everything above 60% state of charge, you will have full power available on this car.
Okay, so after 60%, your power starts to tail off.
Yeah, but really, really slowly. So you'll still have more than 1,000 kilowatts on 30% state of charge.
1,500 horsepower. Even like a low state of charge.
Yes.
So you're not really going to notice, are you? But when you guys lend me this car to drag race, which no doubt you will, Marta. Yes, okay, good, yeah. We will make sure that it's got like between 100 and 60, and we're all good for maximum
good for
performance.
that, yes.
Okay, so you can pour electrons out of the battery quicker without it overheating, so that helps deliver the extra performance because the motors, you've got one on each wheel. It's the same as in the Nevera.
Completely independent. We have all new torque vectoring inside and traction control to actually extract the power and use the additional grip from the new tire that we have.
So Matej, you say that you've changed the torque vectoring. How exactly? How have you made it different? What's different about it?
It's slightly tuned to use better mechanical grip that we have with the new tire.
Okay, so this is a new tyre, but it's a Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2. What's different? What's on the Nevera?
On Nevera we have Michelin PS4S.
Yeah, so this is a much more focused tyre, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, this is the kind of tyre that you use if you're doing track days and stuff. Is the idea behind this car for people to take it on track?
You can still use it as a good daily tire. You can still drive normally on the road without any issues, especially with our new traction control, which is actually going to use maximum of traction there is, but not going to give you a difficult situation.
So essentially you've recalibrated the traction control to work with this tyre, and I know what it's like. It's really strange how you can manage traction with an electric car because you can just so fine tune it. Like you don't even feel, as a driver, you don't feel any braking traction. It just reduces the power going to the wheel, doesn't it? And you just don't notice it. It's mad.
And you don't feel like car
No.
doing some funny stuff. It's actually controls magic. We have quite a lot of magicians, I would say, in our company that do this kind of stuff.
So that's the tyre. What about the brakes? They look similar to me, but are they different?
They look similar, but they're different, yes. First of all, they're copper-free. This allows us to go to certain markets where this is forbidden from 2025, but also it has a different cooling vents. So it's Evo 2 brakes, which have better performance in terms of thermal.
If you're doing regular hard braking, these are going to last or stand up for longer with less
Exactly.
fade. Is there anything else that you've done to like the suspension at all? Have you reprogrammed that?
Suspension is the same, but car is going to feel different. First of all, with aerodynamic package, but also with the tire and new torque vectoring. What we try to achieve here is to have a car which is even more fun to drive on a twisty B road.
Frank has already talked through like the Aero, but he didn't give me the exact number on downforce. So what, in terms of kilograms, do you have for overall downforce and at what speed?
So at 350 kilometers per hour, we have 400 kilos of downforce, which is 15% more than Nevera. But still, we managed to have 10% better aerodynamic efficiency.
How?
It's actually overall shape of the car. We achieved some better performance in terms of drag in the front, and this allows us to have a bigger wing in the back, which is also fixed.
So what about this new air brake that you fitted? So does that help the car
It
slow?
works only on speeds below 30 kph.
It's quite funny that, look, there is a little bit of practicality here with the Nevera, not much. I like to test how practical a car's boot is by trying to climb into it, but I think on this occasion I won't, because I don't want to damage your carbon fibre. Because how much would it cost to replace the rear wing on this?
I need to check that. I don't have the number here.
What is the top speed of this car then? If you've improved the aero and there's less drag, you've got more power from the batteries, what do you get?
It's actually the same as Nevera. So you have homologated speed up to 350 kilometers per hour, but with the special event we can go up to 412 kilometers per hour.
Bear with me.
So 412 is, I think, 256.
257.5 miles an hour. So why have you done it exactly the same?
You have fixed rear wing, so this is actually not allowing us to go a bit faster than that. In Nevera, you can move the wing and change the drag.
But you said it was more efficient, I don't understand.
Yes, it is, but still, it's more.
Okay. Sorry, I just need a little moment to myself. I don't really understand. How can it be more aero efficient and yet can't go quicker if it's got more power?
Because you are pushing the car then too much to the ground, and this is the limiting factor. More downforce.
I think I need to go back to school. Have you got any like lap time comparisons, this compared to the Nevera?
We have on the dynamic track in Ardo, this car is 3.8 seconds faster.
And how long is the lap of that dynamic track?
Around 4 kilometers.
Okay, it's quite a
big number.
Quite a big number. And we're not talking about the big loop.
No, it's the handling track, so the proper racetrack.
So the downforce works, the power works, the brakes work to give you that improved lap time, and the tyre. Right, so obviously it's quicker around a track, it's quicker to 190 miles an hour. You have faster deployment of energy from the battery with a whole new battery pack. Got all this extra design elements. What's the price compared to the normal Nevera?
So this car is 2.3 million.
And the standard Nevera
is 2 million.
So £300,000 extra for that extra performance.
This nice package, yes.
So why will anyone buy the normal Nevera? People who don't like the look of the wing, I guess.
Yeah, there is, we think that this is, different kind of a car. So we still believe that a lot of people will choose base Nevera because of design, because it's slightly less pronounced, for instance.
I am the kind of person, if I had the means, would definitely choose this one.
So you're a Nevera R guy?
Definitely. Always go for the R. Rebellious.
Yes. Relentless.
I can be relentless. Probably not radical, but I think you hit the nail on the head with relentless. Or
remat.
Listen, thank you very much, Mattia, for talking me through the car. Really appreciated it. So let me know what you think about this. Would you go, if you had the ability to buy one, would you go for the standard car or the R? Let me know in the comments.